again. Welcome to the Goldyn Hour and the Manifest to Live Life Golden podcast and YouTube show. I'm Golden Duffy, your host. And today we are going to be all over the place today. It's not going to be a specific show today. It's just going to be what comes through. But I do have a few announcements. One major announcement, and I will explain later in the show why this is. I have decided that I'm going to leave E360 TV. So if you watch me on E360 TV or any of the other streaming devices, Roku, Twitch, Apple, all of those, might actually still be on Apple, but I won't be on the E360 app. And again, I'll share later why I decided to do that. But I think that one of the reasons I'll share is just I've kind of spread out my viewership so much that it has made me less effective as far as like monetization goes. So now you can find me exclusively on Spotify, all of the podcast sites, and on YouTube. So I actually have a little QR code here. So if you have your phone on you, you can just scroll over this QR code and you can scroll to YouTube. And if you have a smart TV, if you do watch me on TV and you're like, oh, bummer, I can't watch it on TV anymore, you can stream these apps on your TV. So we have YouTube on our TV. So here's the little link here. This, if you scroll your phone over this, it'll give you the link. You click on it, it will take you right to my YouTube channel, which is Manifest to Live Life Golden. And while you're doing that, if you could subscribe, if you could like some episodes, that really helps me. There's also other things on YouTube that you may not have taken advantage of. I have, I think, like 10 to 15 guided meditations that are really great. And there's just, there's tons of episodes. I think I'm up to like 200 and I'm close to 300 episodes. So you've got tons of information there, tons of, subjects that you can search to find out what, the law of attraction says about different areas of your life. Another link that you can watch me at, this is the YouTube link on the left. The next one is Spotify. And I just found out I'm actually going to be hosted by Spotify now, that you can put video on Spotify. So I'm a little late to the game, but I'm figuring things out. So you can actually watch the video on Spotify as well if you have Spotify. And Spotify is a great resource for other podcasts, for music, my family uses Spotify and I really love it. So also, all of the other podcast sites, this will be uploaded through Spotify. They send it out now to all the different areas. So one of the reasons that I have decided to change, and one of the things that I want to speak about today is higher perspective. So oftentimes we do things over and over again, and we keep ourselves in our lives kind of in this little box, right? Like I've always done it this way. So E360 TV was an incredible opportunity for me to do a podcast in a different way, to be like, oh, I have a TV show, right? So it enabled me to actually create a huge following on there. I think I have like 25,000 followers on E360 TV. So it was another way to kind of get myself out there. I did have to pay for that service every month. So what I ended up doing was you remember maybe if you've been following me for a while that I had guests for a while, and I would charge the guests to try to take care of the payment for that studio fee, which eventually I just kind of got really burned out and really tired from, trying to find people to come on, asking people to pay to be interviewed. All of that just kind of felt very yucky and inauthentic to me. So I let that go. So then I just went back to doing the show by myself, and then I just kept doing it, right? Like week after week, they do my promotional materials. It's been a great experience. So my husband and I recently just signed up for this massive program to help us scale our business. And we have some coaches in there. And, I've always kind of thought the coaching thing was like not a great idea, but I'm starting to realize that it really is a great idea, because you don't know what you don't know, right? So you get stuck in these patterns of thought, these patterns of doing things, and you don't really think about like, is this really serving me? Is this really benefiting me? So I'm working with this gentleman, and we talked about monetizing the podcast. And as I'm going through it all and realizing that I can be hosted through Spotify, and Spotify has a lot of different ways to monetize along with YouTube. If you get your following on YouTube, I've only got like a little over 400 on YouTube, and then Spotify, I'm not sure about. I don't have a huge following there either. So my bulk of my following was E360. So common sense would tell you stay with E360, right? but I'm not getting an exchange of energy there. I'm not feeling the exchange. I'm not monetizing on there. I'd have to do my own ads to monetize on there, which I haven't wanted to do. So eventually the show may not be ad free once I get to the levels to be able to do that on Spotify and YouTube. And, that's just the nature of the program. So, taking a step back, looking at everything I was doing and realizing that I'm kind of spreading out my viewership and not being really focused and intentional, I made the decision to let it go. And it really kind of brought me some relief. And anytime you're looking to make a decision, if that decision, when you make it, provides you with a certain amount of relief, especially if it's a big amount of relief, like, oh, I don't have to do this anymore. I mean, I've been doing episodes on E360 for 2 years consecutively every single week. And there's probably only been 2 or 3 times that I've run reruns, which I have the ability to do whenever I want. But I'm very committed to the messages that come through every week. And that's why I've done that. I also have to keep it to 56 minutes. So if I have a podcast, I have a little more freedom on either going over or going under those numbers. So I like that idea as well. An hour show, although you guys know I have no problem talking for an hour, can be daunting some weeks, right? So it was just looking, it was zooming out. And my Facebook post today, I actually want to read to you because it's all about zooming out and what happens when we actually zoom out from our life and how that can affect us. So it's called, Can You Soar Above It All? And you can find this on my Facebook page, Goldyn Duffy, or Live Life Golden on Instagram. The reason you feel stuck or like things are not getting better may be because you have a narrow focus. That's what I felt like I had, a very narrow focus, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting the different results, right? Definition of insanity. When your focus is too close to something, you cannot see the whole picture. When you get upset about events that have happened or are happening, you tune yourself out of what good can come. By rising above and looking for a new perspective, you allow yourself to tune into a new frequency. That's what happens when you feel better. When you feel relief, you're actually tuning into a new frequency. Lost my place. Your perspective has the power to give you new insights and completely change past, present, and future outcomes. When you change the way you look at something, you change the way it feels. The practice of zooming out your life lens allows you to let go of limited ways of thinking and being. By gaining heightened perspectives, you engage with a new set of plans for your life blueprint. This allows you to send a new signal that creates better things coming to you. This is why it can be super valuable to work with someone who can help you see what you can't and give you a new perspective that reaches new heights. Everything that is happening, has happened, and will happen is for the ultimate benefit of your expansion and growth. So breathe easy, let go of the problem-focused stories, and start enjoying the view that allows you to enjoy the journey so much more. You are on the path to bigger and better things. I truly believe that, especially if you're listening to this show, because this show has an energetic exchange that's going to tune you into better things. So when it comes to letting those things go, those things that you've been doing for a long time, those things that are habits, those things that you think you need, you have this like laundry list of reasons why you need it, but you're feeling like you need to get away from it. You're feeling like it's burning you out. You're feeling like it's not working correctly. You keep questioning. The interesting thing about the podcast. So I've been doing the podcast for 3 years, and the conversation that I had with this new coach was basically like, oh, I'm in my next year. That was my goal. My next year, I'm going to monetize the podcast. And it was like, he was like, all right, so what does that look like? Like, how are you going to do it? And I was like, I have no idea. I pretty much have said it every year since I've started the podcast. I have no clue. So that was interesting. So he gave me some homework to like research that and look into that and see if you're at a level where you can do that on Spotify. And it just opened me up to think differently. Instead of being in this closed-minded, narrow focus, he kind of took me to the top of the mountain and he let me look. And as I looked out of the top of the mountain, I was like, wow, this really isn't serving viewership being condensed in 1 or 2 places where I could actually gain a better following. So, I mean, the smart thing may be to just be on one, but I feel like if you're on Spotify and YouTube, you're pretty much hitting both places that, some people are not on Spotify. And I would think most people are on YouTube, but Spotify is huge for podcasters. So I'm just going to stick with that. They also have various ways of monetizing on there. So I thought that was really cool. And I think you can sign up for Spotify for free. I'm not totally sure about that, but I think if you want to do ad free, you have to pay. And it's like our family plan, I think, is like $13 a month, which somehow I got my kids to pay for. My kids pay for my Spotify. Not sure how that happened, but go kids. You know what I mean? It's about time. All right. So today I've actually been presented with a question, and I want to share also, I'm going to take this Spotify link down. I want to share also that, if you are interested in benefiting from the show even more, and you want some sort of exchange for value in what we're doing, and what I'm doing, you can actually Venmo me at Goldyn-Duffy, I think it is. Let me just check that real quick. Or there's Zelle, or there's PayPal. Just you can hit me up at livelifegolden@gmail to ask me questions if you are interested in. I do have some people that actually send me monthly, just like $20, and I so appreciate it. In fact, I want to give a shout out to Sarah, because she has just been one of my biggest cheerleaders for the entire 3 years that I've been podcasting. And she's just always there encouraging me. And you know what? Like, this can be a lonely world, especially when you do something where you're putting your voice out there and people are listening and they're like gravitating to it and they love it, but they don't feel inspired to share that they've heard it. And that happens a lot. Like, I have a lot of listeners and very rarely do I hear from them. There's like a handful that I hear from. So she sends me money, and I so appreciate that from the bottom of my heart, to feel supported and loved. And if more people did that, I could absolutely keep it ad free. That would be amazing. So, whatever you feel inclined, if you've been benefiting from the show for a long time, then, just whatever you feel like is, I'm not asking for money. I'm just asking for an exchange. So, my Venmo, I was going to get my Venmo. Hold on. Is, at Goldyn-Duffy, and you'll see my picture on there. In fact, I could even, just go to that on Memo. All right. So the questions that I've been presented with for this show have to do with, I want to talk heavy about perspective, but also just to get down to the nitty and gritty of this question is like feeling like you're scattered, right? Like you just feel like there's so much, and I can so relate to this right now, because the busyness is, it's straight up right now. Like, there's so much going on in our lives, and we're doing so much to build and grow and scale right now. It's massive. Recently we had to terminate someone in our company, which is a whole other thing that took a massive amount of, conversations with attorneys and contracts and all of that stuff like that we've never dealt with before. And it was emotionally draining. It was emotionally hard. It was a decision that needed to be made for our company, for the betterment of our company, for the betterment of our team. And ultimately, it compounds what you're doing, right? Like, so you're doing all the things, and then something happens that's like emotional or, sad or traumatic. And then you just feel like you're just so overwhelmed. There's just so much overwhelmment. So let me explain what overwhelmment is, first of all. Overwhelmment is you have very strong desire and you haven't caught up with it yet. So you've got this strong desire and you're pulling in energy, basically, right? Like, you're sending massive amounts of signals out there, and the universe is sending you lots and lots and lots of stuff, right, to appease those desires. If you're not caught up with that yet, right, like you haven't identified with it yet, you haven't resonated with it yet, maybe it's way out of your comfort zone, you're going to have feelings of overwhelmment. Feelings of overwhelmment are just basically you in a thought pattern, in a habit of thought that doesn't allow you to catch up. It's very, very similar to resistance. Overwhelmment is very similar to resistance. And it's a story. It's a story that you're telling yourself, I can't handle what's going on. I'm, and it's also like pulling yourself in the future, like, oh my God, I have 10 things to do today, or I have 20 things to do today. I've got all this work to do. There's so much being asked of me. And it also really takes out the universal support. So, asking the universe for support, inviting in, also opening yourself up to receiving. It's hard to receive if you're in overwhelmment because you're already saying, I'm receiving too much. But when you clear that, you allow yourself to be open to receiving help from the universe. So for the longest time, as we're looking at this firing position or termination, as we're looking at that, I'm like, okay, so why did we attract this, right? Like, why did we attract a person to our team that wasn't qualified for the position that they were hired for? So I was talking to my husband about this yesterday, and I was reflecting, and I don't know if he's ready to do this, but I was reflecting on the fact that for the longest time, he has had the energy and the vibration of no one can do what I do, right? He's like, he wears many, many hats. He basically orchestrates a circus every single day. Like, I don't even know how he does it. So for the longest time, he's been saying, I have to do this. I have to get this done. Nobody else can do the things that I'm doing. And so when he hired someone, he still had that frequency going on, even though he's been working on it, even though he's been, changing that story in his mind, that belief system, he still had momentum of that frequency. So it's important to note that when you change, when you make big changes, when you release old belief systems and take on new ones, there will be a short time of that old momentum that might show up. And you may think to yourself, I haven't changed, nothing's changed. But in reality, you have changed. And the way to really solidify that change is to respond differently, to have a different response to it. Just be like, all right, this is just old energy. This is just old momentum. I just need to keep going. I need to, keep my focus forward and it will manifest. I will transform the energy. I will alchemize the old energy and bring in the new energy. So we talked about that a little bit yesterday, how he can clear that. And then, having a new outlook now and looking at that situation from a different perspective, right? Because when we're so locked in, when we're so narrowly focused, when we're so problem oriented, the solutions can't come, right? Just like overwhelmment, you can't receive something that you're not in the frequency of. So we look at this situation and we look at all the good that came from it, because there was a lot of good. There was a lot of clarity that was obtained. Our team is appreciating us more, appreciating my husband more. They're stepping up more because they realize that we value what they say, right? Because they were coming to us and saying, this isn't working, and we value that, and we're going to respond to that and not ignore what they want. If you really want to grow a team, if you own your own business and you want to grow a team, you have to respect your employees. You have to respect their goals, their dreams, make them feel like they can take some ownership in your company. We're learning all these things, and they're really super, it's a game changer. It's an absolute game changer, super important. So as you are, going through life, if you've got a lot going on and you have a lot, happening, you may feel like it's really hard to focus on the manifestations that you want, because you're being pushed and pulled and your focus is all over the place. So a couple of suggestions. One is something that we just did. We just decided that we were going to do the other night. And I don't know where the thought came from or why, but my husband and I were talking about how much time we spend scrolling and how stupid it is and how unproductive it is, and how we want better for our lives. We don't, and I would say we probably on average are way less than most people that are scrolling. I mean, I was at the beach the other day, and these kids, teenagers, were laying under the umbrella scrolling for the 3 hours that I was there. It's bonkers. We've got to do something about this. It's not healthy. It's not serving us. It's not benefiting us. It's squashing our creativity. And it's just not lending to the most fulfilling life. Think about when you're on your phone and you're scrolling, how kind of everything is, same thing when you watch TV. It's like everything around you doesn't really exist. So you are tuning into a frequency that is not of a frequency where you can actually manifest, because you're not even in your conscious self. You're like, right? You're part of an addiction. You're part of somebody else's story. Somebody else is creating. That's what you're doing. And then you're influenced by whatever they're saying. And I found that very interesting. Small example. My daughter recently told me that carrots are not good, that they're not native to our land, that they brought them in. I don't even know what the story was. I couldn't even listen to it because I'm a carrot fan. And recently I've been roasting carrots, and my husband and I are like having this love affair with carrots. And I swear it is improving my eyesight. As everyone says, as you get older, your eyesight starts to go. And so I've been eating carrots every day, and I swear my eyesight is better. Placebo effect, who cares, right? So she tells me this, and I'm just like, who in the world? Like, what? Like, I refuse to believe that. I love carrots too much. And as far as like vegetables and whatnot, I'm just a huge believer that they're healthy for me. I love them. I'm eating them. I don't care what other people say. So it tunes you into belief systems of other people and frequencies that other people are on. And I've seen major changes in my kids because of that. I always say, they didn't go to college, but they've been indoctrinated through TikTok, like 100%. So be careful what you listen to. But what we've decided to do is we're calling it Dry July, which basically is we are not doom scrolling in July. So I am still going to be on Facebook as far as putting my post every day. So this is my challenge. So my husband deleted Facebook and Instagram off of his phone. That's fantastic. If you can do that, I think it would serve you 1,000%. I personally, I want to post every day. I have this message coming through me, and I like to do it on my phone. He says this is an excuse, but it's not, because I have my pictures there, and then I can align a picture with my post. And then I can engage with you guys as you comment, because I don't ever want anyone to comment and then I don't engage, because I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the feedback. So we're kind of in a discussion about that right now. And he thinks that I'm not going to make it. He thinks I'm going to fail because I've got them still on my phone. And I said, I am disciplined, dude. Like if I tell myself I'm not going to do something, or if I tell myself I'm going to do something, I keep my word to myself, and I have integrity with myself. Would it be better if they're off my phone? Absolutely. But it's just, and maybe I would find another, as I'm thinking about this, I'm like, okay, scroll out, perspective. Maybe it would show me another way to do the posts every day that would feel better and in more alignment. So it's to come. I spent the entire day yesterday and I didn't scroll once, which is great. I feel like that's a huge achievement, but I also was very busy. So when it comes to boredom time, we'll see. I'm definitely picking up my book more. I'm reading the 11th insight, the 12th insight. I think it's the 11th insight from the Celestine Prophecy. So I'll just bring my book with me everywhere. It's fine. I don't need to be scrolling. I would rather be ingesting information in a really solid book that could educate me, grow me, and make me better, make me benefit. So if you are not convinced about this, watch, I think is it Social Pressure? Yeah, there's a show on Netflix about what happens with the phones. And it's actually people that worked for Google that would never allow their children to have phones because they understand the psychological warfare that's going on with these. So that is one thing that could buy you back a lot of time. Because if you are a scroller and if you are a checker of social media, if you are addicted to that habit, you could be doing it throughout your day. And if you look when the phone tells you how much time you've been on it during the week, you might understand that you are really scrolling more than you think you are. So one of my daughters, because we invited our daughters in to do it, and one of my daughters said, "Oh, I don't scroll." And I was just like, okay, you're delusional. Like you have a habit that you are not, you have an addiction that you're not ready to admit, right? So let's be honest with ourselves, people. So that would be my first advice to being less overwhelmed, would be to get rid of these time suckers. That's what we're calling them. It basically just sucks your time. I find myself in these reels. I'll find an hour goes by. I was talking to my neighbor recently and she was like, I'm on there for 2 hours in the morning. I'm like, can you imagine what your day could be like. And she was like watching the news and all the different cases that are out there and stuff. And hey, I've gotten sucked into Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni like everybody else, right? I've gotten myself away from P. Diddy because I just felt like, that was a rough one. But again, do we need this kind of programming? Do we need to be taking in and ingesting this kind of information and then talking about it? It's not a healthy frequency. It's absolutely not. So if you want an optimal frequency, you have to start pulling your focus away from these things that mess with your frequency, right? Gossip, all that stuff. All right. So then when it comes to overwhelmment, it's about deciding what you really want for your life, like what you truly want for your life, and looking at what you're doing for your life and deciding, do I need to be doing all of these things, right? Are you running around doing a lot for other people, right? Are you feeling obligated, maybe guilty, like you feel like you have to do things for people? That could be a huge thing, like boundaries, letting people take care of themselves, not giving so much. I used to give so much. And I realized that I gave from overcompensating for what I haven't gotten. And not always the people I were giving to really deserved it from me or created an exchange of energy. So look at all of your relationships and decide, like, am I getting an exchange of energy here that's healthy and beneficial? Or am I just like giving, and they don't really care about me? The other thing I would do is write down everything you're doing every day and everything that's calling to you. If you are a mother and your kids are home for the summer, I say you got to pass. You got a permission slip to just go have fun. We used to call our summers like the summer of fun. I would always do this because it was like my time to get back to being with my kids, being, carefree, sleeping in, staying in our pajamas, swimming, doing the things that really made us feel like it was summer and we were free. And I think that really benefited us, especially as they were growing up, because it goes by, you guys. Like, I know lots of empty nesters. It goes by, and my kids now, they're gone all the time. They both work and they're gone a lot. So maybe look at that and give yourself a little bit of a pause, a little bit, because we're not really meant to be these massive creators that are constantly in motion, right? We're human beings, not human doings. So I would look at the schedule, I would look at what you're doing and just decide, are there some things that I can let go to make my life feel a little more relaxed? Or are there things I can do to up-level my alignment to be in the frequency of what is coming to me so I can accept it, allow it, and receive it? If there are things that you want to work on and you feel like you're being pulled away from them, you're not able to, be in the higher frequencies of appreciation and love to actually manifest what you want, then that's a false belief system. That's a completely false belief system. If you are in a really high vibration, in a really high frequency, what you want is coming. It's not something that you really need to work hard at. The only thing I would say that I would not give up if you are looking to manifest things and you feel like you don't have like time to focus on vision boards or writing it down or whatever, I would not let go of your meditation practice, especially if you are feeling really overwhelmed. I would recommit to that meditation practice. 10, 15 minutes, get up early in the morning. Don't let that go. There's days here and there where I let it go, like if I have school or going to school too. Geez Louise. There are days where I will let it go, but for the most part, I would say I'm like 80% of the time I do it. In the weekends, sometimes it goes by the wayside, but it feels so good. And when you commit to it, what ends up happening is you create that space where overwhelmment doesn't live. And then you'll get intuitions and guidance around the right things to do. I had a funny thing happen yesterday. So I had a little trouble getting to the gym this week, and I just kind of let myself go. I've been really, really tired every day because I've been going to bed a little bit late and getting up at 4, going to the gym, going to school. I just got really tired. I got tired of the schedule. I got tired of like rushing all the time. And even my muscles felt tired. I was like, I just need a break. And so I took Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and yesterday I was going to go to the gym, and I just decided I just decided no. I was like, I just felt a lot of resistance around it. And I was like, I'm not going to do it. So I was like, all right, what would be productive? Because I'm not scrolling, because yesterday was July 1st. So I sat down and I opened up my project for my design class. I have a huge project due in a couple of weeks. And I started looking for stuff on the computer, and all of a sudden I realized that my papers for school, which I was going to school at 9 and it was like 5:30 or 6, I realized that my paper for school, which is all the measurements of my furniture, which is what I needed to draw for that day, were at the office. So got up, got ready, got to the office, got my stuff, and lucky I did. If I'd gone to the gym, I don't know that I would have had that guidance. I don't even know if I would have had time to stop at the office to do that. So, sometimes that resistance to do things can be a message or a guidance that you need to go in another path. That's not like, so I've been trying to figure this out, because like normal resistance around things, like going to the gym, your mind's going to try to talk you out of it. And I have a very automatic behavior when it comes to going to the gym and meditating. I don't do battle with my mind over it normally. This week was a different story altogether. And so I'm formulating like, what was that made it okay for me to give into that voice? And it really was just listening to that inner guidance and my physical body, right? Like listening to my physical body, like, yeah, we need a little rest. That's if that happens to you, like in the beginning of your workout journey and you're like just starting to work out, you need to blow past it, because, I'm years into working out almost daily. And, so I know what's the mechanism of the mind, but I'll get back to you on that, because I feel like there's more formulation in that, like what is true guidance and what is true resistance, because sometimes our guidance is our fears, it's resistance, it's not wanting to get out of our comfort zone. So you can look at that and say, oh, that's guidance. So you have to create enough space to know what's guidance and what is your true heart calling you to do, what is really beneficial for you in that moment. So we can clarify that more as we go down the road, because this is a whole new, unfolding as far as like really listening to my inner guidance and taking it to another level where I'm not just ignoring it and going, I go to the gym, that's what I do, right? Is that always good for me? Because I weight train like 6 days a week. So maybe, and not the same body part, obviously, but maybe sometimes I do need to take my foot off the gas. I've been working out 6 days a week since like October, and I've had a day off here and there, especially if we're traveling, but that's a schedule to not miss. So I was like, you know what? I'm allowed. I can do that. It's okay. It's okay. Nothing's going to fall apart. I'm not going to fall apart if I do that. And it was nice. It was a nice break. And I got back today and I felt really more appreciative getting back today and getting into the groove again. All right. So when it comes to overwhelment, I would definitely highly commit to a meditation practice. I know that you're busy, but they say that running out of the house without meditating is like running out of the house and not getting your keys for your car. Like, it's important. It's really important. And when you put that level of importance on it, then you don't blow it off. When you put it in your schedule, then you don't blow it off. And that really serves you. The other thing that you can do is make a list of all the things that you need to do, and then take from that list, and the ones that are not super pressing and like emergency based, put in a column that says up to the universe. Like, give the universe, invite the universe, God, source, angels, whatever you believe in, invite that mechanism, that infinite intelligence, that infinite force of energy in to help you and support you. You have a team of non-physical support, but they won't go in on your behalf until they're invited, right? Or until you're open enough to receive them. So by inviting them in, I have had the most incredible parking spaces lately. And it's funny because I've known this for so long. Like, I've had a parking angel probably for 10 or 15 years. And recently I took it to the new level because I would have moments of like anxiety and fear that I wasn't going to get parking. Now I live in Orange County, California, and when you go down to the beach in any town in the middle of the afternoon, it can be bonkers. So I usually always prepare and I get to the beach super early and it's never a stress. But recently with school, I was meeting a friend twice. I did this, or three times, where I was going down in the middle of the afternoon. So the other day I get off the freeway and it's like 1 o'clock and it's backed up. I mean, for miles. I thought it was for miles backed up. And it's not a road that I'm familiar with. I got off a different exit because I was at school. And so I'm like, oh, so there goes the anxiety, right? Like, oh, and I was like, no, I'm going to get a spot in the perfect place. I envisioned it in my mind. I saw it. I was thankful. I was grateful for it already. And as we're getting into town, we have to go through this one lane canyon road. I realized there's a bus in front of us. And that's why there's so much traffic, because the bus was driving really slow. And then the traffic kind of dissipated and it was a pretty free ride in. And I was like, oh, it's going to be totally fine. Like I got more confirmation that it's going to be great. And my frequency was at a place where I wasn't tuning into traffic and lots of people and craziness and no parking spots. I rose above it. As I pull into town, boom, right where I wanted a spot, a guy starts backing out. And I was like, that is amazing. And that's been happening a lot. The last time I did it, I went through town where I usually get a parking spot and I was like, it's okay. And I pulled onto the PCH and then pulled to go down the next road to turn around and look for a spot again. And I ended up finding a spot on that road that I've never parked in before that was even closer to the beach. So these things work. This works. When you invite in, when you decide, when you believe, when you have faith, everything always works out for you. So that was really, really cool. When it comes to overwhelmment and feeling like you have to do it all, just like my husband, when you feel like there's no one that can help me, there's no one that can do what I do, there's no one that does it as good as I do it, that frequency is always going to make you feel overwhelmed and alone and unsupported. Why would you want to do that? Right? And maybe you have a lot of evidence. Maybe his life has shown him pretty much every male figure and friend and coworker, subcontractor in the past has shown him that he can't rely on them. He's had several men pass away in his life that he was very close to. And so that's going to exasperate that feeling of, I can't trust that people are going to be there for me, right? Even if they wanted to, I can't trust that. So you got to look at those deeper belief systems that could be creating that frequency for you of being alone. A really interesting take that I actually did for a long time was like being a martyr. You're just a martyr. Like, if it's to be, it's up to me. This is really, really popular. Hold on, I'm going to wipe off my camera. This is really, really, there's some clarity for you. This is really, really popular if you're a mother, being the martyr. I have to do everything. Nobody ever helps me. I was talking to my nail person the other day and she was telling me how much stuff she does and she's so busy and she's always cleaning and cooking and nobody helps her. And I was like, God, I remember being like that. And you're resentful and you're angry and you feel all alone and everybody is just not with you, doesn't help you, whatever the stories are, that will create more of that. So then no one will ever be able to help you. No one will ever. And I thought about asking her this, and I might ask her next time. I didn't feel like she was in the mode of receiving, but it's like, have you ever asked them? Have you ever asked them for their help? I ask my family for help all the time. I do. And I have made the decision that I'm not going to live like a martyr, because if you live like a martyr, you have no chance of living in relief and ease and flow. So don't be a martyr. That's, oh, I have to do it. And then you're living in resentment. That's no fun. If you really want help from your family, you have to, and not only do you have to ask, but you have to believe and trust that they're going to help you out. And you have to be okay with them not doing things exactly the way you want them done. My husband makes a mean bed. I mean, it's a sad bed. It's not a great bed. And the other day we had gotten up together, and yeah, I usually get up first. So you would think that he could make the bed, but he doesn't normally make the bed. He kind of rolls out at 5 and that's it. But we got up together. It was the weekend and I was in the bathroom still, and he was attempting to make the bed in his way. And basically he just like kind of pulls the covers up, throws the pillows down. It's not pretty. And he's like, "Oh, do you like the way I make the bed?" I said, "I love it. I love it." Like, all I have to do is go and straighten it, right? Which you may say is like disrespecting what he's doing, but it's not. It feels more like teamwork to me, right? So I said, "I love it. I love it when you make the bed," right? This is the way we need to be if we want to receive help. If you want to feel like people are going to help you, then don't critique their work and tell them what they did wrong. That is also something I have had a history of doing that I would like to let go of. Yes. All right. So talking about perspective, let's get into perspective a little bit, which could actually help the conversation of overwhelment. When you have so when you're in a problem, right? Let's say you've been faced with a challenge and you can't see out, right? Like your focus gets really narrow. You talk about the problem, you worry about the problem, you talk about how big the problem is, you invite other people into the problem, you start asking for people's advice, but you're doing it from a problem-oriented way. So you can't even hear their advice. I've been in that situation so many times where people are like talking about their problems and I have like this great advice and they don't even hear me. Like they keep complaining, they keep talking about their problem. So don't waste your time doing that with people. So in order for you to zoom out so you're not in the problem, the first thing I would highly suggest is meditation to create a little bit of space. Then it would be like writing down what you think the problem is and then going over what you think the solutions could be, which basically what that does is it gets the problem out of you, right? I call this dumping. Like before you meditate, if you're having a hard time, the greatest thing you can do is just make a list of all the to-dos that you have that day, put it aside. When you start meditating, if those things come up, you're like, I already wrote them down. It just helps. It really helps. But in this perspective, dumping is when you take a problem and you write it down. This is what's happening. This is the way I feel about it. Then it's going to the other side of your paper and it's deciding what you want to happen from it. So like best case scenario, not what you think is possible, but what you really want to happen. This is where the universe, God, source can surprise and delight you, because now you're opening yourself up to an unlimited potential, and you write that down, and you write it down as though it's happening and you're grateful for it. So I am so thankful and so grateful that we terminated this person that wasn't working for us, because for a month or two, I was in this like, challenge space where I knew this person wasn't right for us, but there were so many hurdles to terminate that it just felt impossible. So I had to let it go. And that's exactly what I did. So once you do this and you write down the solutions, then you let it go, especially if you're in a situation where someone doesn't agree with you. Letting it go is your best bet, right? Putting out your order, right? Sending your order to the universal Amazon and saying, this is what I would like to happen. I trust it. I have faith in it. I don't have to push for it. I don't have to be desperate for it. I am going to look for opportunities to shift it, right? I'm going to look for opportunities to manifest it in the way that I like. So it doesn't mean that you just sit there and wait, and, waiting is heavy, but you look for opportunities to change it. And then boom, before you know it, miracles happen. Miracles happen all the time. So higher perspective is when you can move away from a problem far enough, right? Far enough. First of all, we call them challenges. We do not call them problems. We always say there's no problems, only solutions, because we focus on the solution-oriented way. So instead of being like, oh no, this happened, we all have our moments, right? We got to take our moments. We make a decision based on that challenge or issue, We make a decision based on the clarity that challenge gave us, right? So it's looking at that challenge and saying, okay, this is happening. I don't love it, but what good can come from it? Or what would I like it to manifest from it? Because honestly, when you are presented with a challenge, your desire for the solution is even stronger. So it's going to pave a way for you to find the solution. If you can get out of the problem, if you can get out of the resistance and the insistence to stay the same or to stay locked into something that's not necessarily working for you. I think too, what happens is people romanticize, right? Like they romanticize like, oh, this is so great, I can't let it go. Like for my husband with this person, he's like, I can't let them go because they're doing some things that I don't want to go back to doing. And I was like, all right, well, maybe we can think about it differently. Maybe if they're gone, the other guys will step up, right? So it's thinking about it differently, thinking about it from a new perspective of how can we make this work instead of saying it's impossible. Higher perspective is always going to serve you. Reaching that higher perspective can sometimes come from working with someone, right? Like a coach or somebody that has a higher perspective, or a positive friend. Go for the positive ones only. You only want to hear the positive stuff. And higher perspective can also come from you quieting your mind and reaching for higher guidance, asking for that guidance. I often lay in bed at night and just say, let me know what I need to know. Let me see what I need to see, right? I've done that several times. And I know I've shared this before with people. If I think that someone kind of has some power over one of my kids or over my family members or friends, I'll just say, let them see what they can't see. And then I'm out of it. Because if I try to convince them that someone is wrong or someone's not good for them, then a lot of times they can dig their heels in, especially with kids, right? Or stubborn husbands. They can dig their heels in and want to prove it to you that you're wrong. When I have very inspired, intuitive messages. So I always just say, hey, I got a download for you. Do what you will with it, but I got a download. So downloads often come, and I'm sure you're getting them, and maybe you don't know they're downloads. We all get downloads. We all get higher guidance, infinite intelligence speaking through us. Many times it'll be during a shower, right? Because we've kind of taken our focus out of the world when we're in the shower. It could be in the middle of the night. I often get woken up with messages. In fact, this book right here, The Perfect Unfolding for the Expansion of Your Soul, a lot of this came through my dreams. I'll put the little link up for that. Okay, there's the QR code on the left. We're at minute 48 if you want to come back and get that QR code. This is available on Amazon. The Perfect Unfolding for the Expansion of Your Soul was messages coming through my dreams that I felt I needed to share. When you're in that dream world, you are basically taking your consciousness out of this world, and there are messages that come. Or if you wake up in the middle of the night, that's when your mind is the clearest. You may get some messages there as well. So higher guidance, pulling away from the problem, writing things down. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I have forgotten. Not needing to make a decision so quick. I think we often get in this trap of like desperation where we feel like we have to tell somebody, give someone an answer. Or if you're in a sales situation where you're buying something and someone's putting a lot of pressure on you, and you're not ready to say yes, walk away, because anything that's meant for you will still be there for you. You don't have to be, the universe never pressures. Just remember that. God never pressures. The intention is for ease and flow. All right. So my other book, I'm going to just share that right now on the screen, is Mindful Manifestation Secrets. This is our journey moving from Connecticut to California, and really, really cool. This picture on the back that says 1111, we just celebrated the other day our 10-year anniversary in California, and I can't tell you how wonderful that is. So we went to the park that this view is, that we found. So when we moved here, We went to a yoga meetup group because I was losing my mind because we didn't have a house. We were still in a hotel. Our kids were adolescents. They were PMSing. It was just a nightmare. And we went down to this park my husband signed us up for a yoga meetup group. And we went down and we saw the view, and we realized that this picture that had been on his phone for like 4 years was the view. And he said, I always said we would live 10 minutes from this view, and we found it. And so we visited there, had a little picnic dinner just to celebrate our time here in California, which has been so good. So good. The first couple of years were challenging and scary and tough, but man, did it work out. All right, so let's do a little Russian roulette. I also have my journal. I'm going to put that QR code up there because that one's hard to find. I don't have that one in the office here. What do you think of my new studio? I decided to start recording from my office so I don't have cats meowing and kids slamming doors and all of that stuff. So I'm taking the quiet and the peace of our new office, and I am now podcasting from here, and I gotta say, I really like it. All right. Let's just see what Mindful Manifestation Secrets has. Oh, picture of my cute granddaughter. You don't need that. Okay. All right. Becoming a new identity. I feel like this is really helpful. Oh, actually, I read this one last time, so I'm going to do it again because I read this one last time. There must be somebody needs to hear that one again. Okay, this is a good manifestation story. I've never shared this one. I only have a couple of minutes left, but I'll try to get through it. Okay. When we moved to California, my daughter was engaged to another guy, and he did not like California. He didn't like sunshine. Okay. And so I felt like she would never live here, and that made me so sad because I love her so much. But because I know how manifesting works, I just decided to look at my dream of our family living out west in a different way. So I decided that I would spend no time missing her, and I wouldn't feel angst that she wasn't living near us. I accepted the fact that she was living what was right for her, and that I had no idea how she would end up living in California. I just knew that she would. If it appears as though things are not working towards the fulfillment of your desires, hang tight. Stay focused on what you want and do your best not to try to convince anyone to do what you want them to do. Soon enough, your energetic alignment with what you want will deliver in the most surprising way. About a year after we left, we received a phone call from our daughter hysterically crying that her relationship had ended. We felt incredibly helpless being so many miles away and not being able to console her. We talked for a while and decided that we would come back in a month and move her out to California. Our hearts were broken for her. This was a 5-year relationship to someone she truly loved. Michael and I went through so much heartache for her and felt tortured that we couldn't be with her at this difficult time. We talked on the phone every day and did the best we could to support her through her heartbreak. We vacillated between the anguish of her situation and the excitement of having our family together again. We could have never imagined that this would happen the way that it did. Oftentimes we can't see how things will work out, so we just have to know they will and move forward in faith. A few days before we were going to move her to California, I received a call from my second daughter with some news. She told me that my oldest daughter was already in a new relationship with the guy that she had been working with. I was shocked. I knew that he had not left her side since the breakup, and I kind of felt sorry for him, thinking that he must be in love with her. He is quite a bit older than her, so I didn't think anything was going on between them. Turns out they fell in love, and the plan was that he would move out to California with her 6 months later. One of the most amazing things about this is seeing my daughter so happy. I love seeing her with someone who loves her for who she is and only wants to create happiness with her. That first relationship would have never helped her to find the joy that she lives today. And as I see them together, I know they were so meant to be together. I'm happy to say that they are now engaged to be married. And actually, they are married. And not only did they move to the West Coast, but they moved back to the East Coast. So I'm still in the manifesting of her coming back west because I miss her like crazy, but I trust that our journeys are perfect. I talk to her every single day. We take several vacations together a year. And, if she wants to come back here, that's fine, but I spend no time missing her. And I would really highly recommend that you don't do that with your children because it just puts guilt, it puts remorse, it puts regret, it puts all this yucky energy there's no value in missing someone. Just being excited to see them again is the perfect frequency to create more joy for yourself and everyone else involved. So we don't do missing in our family. We just love people from afar. We connect when we can, and we accept that everyone's journey is what it needs to be. So even though it was fantastic having her live here, which I'm so grateful that I had 2 years of her living here. It's been really awesome watching her. She has her own furniture and remodeling company. Her husband just quit his job to join her company. It's just really cool to watch her kids spread their wings and fly. So I highly recommend not missing them. All right, that show absolutely flew by. So remember to find me on Spotify and YouTube. This will be my last show on E360 TV. I have loved it here. I've been, it's just been a really great journey. It's helped me to grow a lot. And you can find me on, I'll put my YouTube link up once again. Let's see if I can do 2. Oh, no, I can only do 1. There's the YouTube link. Grab it quick. There's the Spotify link. Keep following me, please. I got more to say. I got more to learn. I got more to teach, and I would love to do it with y'all. All right. Peace out.